wind turbines, erecting them on every farm in the Midwest that wants them. We're going to be hiring millions of men and women to affix solar panels to every roof in America, to teams of men and women to go into every neighborhood and pressure test houses and poor neighborhoods and middle-class neighborhoods to find the leaks and go in and spray insulation and seal them. And when we get done, we're going to have a national energy system in this country that will provide free energy forever. The American people, energy has so reduced the cost that it can practically be coal-free. And at that point, we have such an economic advantage on the rest of the world that private industry will be able to step in and take over again and begin producing with this big economic advantage that's bigger than any tax break that you can imagine. Because energy costs, the biggest cost to most of the businesses, particularly small businesses in this country. And if you eliminate that cost, we will all of a sudden become competitive. The Chinese know this. And that's why it's crazy, when Bush was saying, oh, well, we can't sign it because the Chinese won't, because the Chinese, because somehow it's going to put us at a competitive disadvantage to be more efficient than the Chinese. It's like, okay, how do we follow this argument even? It's so insane. And this is a plan, and it's a plan that's going to work. And it's a plan that, we have to make sure that the American people understand it and get behind it, and share the optimism about our country that is shared by so many people who are trying to implement this in the administration. I tell you about two other kinds of technology, because last week was in Denver, and at the National Lab in at Colorado State University, and I showed where they have a national grid, they have a smart grid system there. And then because I'm with Vantage Point, I see a lot of smart grid technology. There's 20 or 30, 40 companies that make smart grid technology. And what smart grid technology allows these utilities to do is to go to every consumer in their consumer base and say to the consumer, to their customers, tell us the things in your car, in your home, that you don't mind us turning off for 15 minutes when we hit peak. Now, most of the natural gas in this country is burned in what is called peaker plants. These are plants that are turned on by utilities when base demand is about to be exceeded. When there's a really hot summer day, everybody turns their electricity on, and suddenly there's not enough electricity in the system to provide power to all the people. And what happens? You overload the system and you get a blackout, which nobody wants. So the utilities have peaker plants, which are spare plants. They're usually old and antiquated, and they're very, very inefficient. They burn gas mainly. And when they see hot days coming towards them, maybe 5 or 10 days in advance, they turn on these peaker plants. And they just sit there burning gas in case they have a peak episode, in which case they hook the energy up to the grid. Now, burning gas is so wasteful. Burning gas for that purpose is like using washing your dishes in VO Hennessy whiskey, right? It's a terrible waste of a very valuable product. If we were able to eliminate the use of those peaker plants, we could save enough natural gas in this country to power every automobile in America. Well, the smart grid could do that. And the way it does it is it allows the utility to go to every consumer in their grid system and say, tell us the things in your house you don't mind us turning off for 15 minutes. Your hot water boiler. If somebody turns it off for 15 minutes, you'll never know it. The temperature of water in your house won't even drop by 1 degree. Your electric toothbrush charger. Your swimming pool recirculator. All these phantom charges we have in our houses that we don't even really pay attention to, but they're sucking energy from the system. And you don't care if somebody turns it off for 15 minutes. And you're going to make money when they do it, because your energy bill is going to decrease, because you're not going to be paying peak rates for those 15 minutes. And that's why you're going to agree to this. The utility comes and you pick all of the things in your house that are sucking energy that you don't need. Then when the utility hits peak, instead of turning on those peaker plants 10 days in advance, it sends a signal through the line that turns off the hot water boilers in 1 million homes. They never have to go to peak. They save all that natural gas, and we can power our automobile fleet. I got to tell you, the other thing they can do is they can go your electric, plug-in electric hybrid. You tell the utility, or your electric vehicle, which is what we're all going to go to in the next 15 years. We're going to be driving electric cars. It's not going to be biofuels. It's going to be electric. It's not going to be hydrogen. It's going to be electric. It's so efficient. And it allows the utility to go into your electric car. For you to say to the utility, I don't mind. I will sell you the energy that's stored in my battery between 9 o'clock at night and 5 o'clock in the morning. Just leave me 20% in the battery. You can drain it down by 80% in case my child gets sick and I have to run to the hospital. Then you fill it up 15 minutes later. And do it the next day when I'm at work between 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And you tell them the parameters that you want. That goes in the computer system. Then when they hit peak, they go get the energy from your car, drain it down for 15 minutes. They pay you 40 cents a kilowatt hour for what they're taking. That's the market rate. Then they fill it back up 15 minutes later at 11 cents a kilowatt hour. And you make money on the deal. Because you are now part of a national grid, and your job is to store energy in your automobile. So as we more and more of us get hybrids and electric cars, we build out a storage system that is going to be one of the principal storage systems for evening out renewable power and variable power in our country. I'll tell you one last story, which is this. One of the companies I'm involved with is called Better Place, which is right now rewiring Israel. And we're going to get Israel off of internal combustion engines within 3 years. At this moment, we are installing electric plugs next to every parking place in Israel. At every gas station in Israel, we are erecting a structure called a swap station that looks like a car wash. You drive your car in, computers hoist you up and slide out your exhausted battery and slide in a fresh one. You get 120 miles on the charge. It takes less than 30 seconds, less time than it takes to fill up your automobile with gasoline. The battery is owned by the utilities. The battery is the most expensive part of the car, $20,000 for the battery. But it's owned not by the car driver, so he never has to pay for it. It's owned by the Israeli electric utility, which is going to use that battery for energy storage for variable power that they're now creating big wind farms and solar thermal farms in the Negev Desert. And this is how they're going to store it in these 750,000 automobile batteries that we're now manufacturing. The automobiles themselves are built by Renault and Nissan, who are also joint venture partners along with the electric utility and the Israeli government. And there's 8 different models that go from sports car to minivan. They go 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds with a very fast car, high performance. But they never break down because there's only 5 moving parts: the doors, the wheels, the axles, and the windshield wipers. On an internal combustion engine, you have 200 moving parts, and that's one of the big costs. Although the cars cost us $10,000 to manufacture, we are going to give them away for free to every driver in Israel. The same way that your cell phone company gives you a cell phone for free, then we're going to make our money up by charging a premium on the power that they purchase over the next 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years, depending on what contract they sign with us. The reason that we're able to do that and make money is because in Israel, it costs about 60 cents a mile over the life of the car, to include gasoline, breakdowns, repairs, everything else. 60 cents a mile to drive an internal combustion engine. It costs only 6 cents a mile to drive an electric car. The same is true in the United States. It costs 6 cents a mile to drive an electric car, and about 40 to 45 cents to drive an internal combustion engine because of the huge subsidies that we give to the gasoline industry that allow them to artificially lower the price of gasoline. So we're able to charge between those 2 amounts. They still are driving the car far cheaper, and they get the car for free. After 3 years, when we complete the build-out, the Israel government is going to slap a 78% tax on all new internal combustion engines and raise the tax every year until the tax out of existence, which isn't going to take long because why would you buy an internal combustion engine when you can get a free car from us? The reason that electric cars are so efficient is because internal combustion engines are so inefficient. Because when you drive an internal combustion engine, you have to push a power plant, 500-pound power plant around with you everywhere you go. So if you go to buy a 10-pound bag of groceries, you've got to carry a 500-pound power plant with you. And your car has to be built with reinforced steel and heavier in order to carry that power plant. And so the whole thing becomes really tremendously inefficient. And that's why, even if you're driving an electric car and powering it from the dirtiest coal plant in the country, you're still getting putting less carbon into the environment, in the atmosphere, than if you drive an internal combustion engine. So electric cars are much more efficient economically, from carbon and from every other standpoint. And when Israel's doing this because it was the first to do it, but they said it's clearly national security. They get their oil today from Egypt buys it from Saudi Arabia, and they said this is a national security issue. For us, well, guess what? It's a national security issue for us as well in our country. And we have better place as a signed contract with Denmark that when we get done with Israel, we're going to do Denmark. We just signed a contract with the UK to do Great Britain. We have a contract now with Australia that we recently signed. We have a contract with Hawaii, with the city of Toronto, and we have 30 other countries in contract negotiation. So this is something that's going to happen very, very fast. And, people who say that, it's going to be, that this transition from gasoline is going to take 50 years, which is what Exxon is saying, they are off base, because we're doing this and we're doing it today. And, every time I look at these technologies that are available today, and many of you have seen stuff that I haven't even seen, it gives me so much hope for our country and the planet that, we have the capacity to solve this. What we need is a political system that can grasp this reality and then move us towards it. And, that's a real problem.